Hello, I am here 2 minutes behind. See, I keep thinking I was on time, but I just ran to go to the bathroom right quick. And I'm always eating because I've been rushing. I was actually at the mailbox hoping that I would have, let me take a sip of I was drinking this yesterday. This is beet, kale, and then fruits. So I know it's banana in here, some cranberry. Obviously, beet, no matter what you do to beets, it always still tastes like dirt. But beets are good for you, so I can take them in a smoothie. Otherwise, I really just can't do the beets thing. But that's what I was drinking yesterday. That's what I'm drinking today, because I'm always still running around and trying to get here. But I was going to say that I was at the mailbox today because I was hoping I had ordered this mini keyboard and this mini mouse that I could connect to this laptop, because this is my Surface Pro Touch, which I really love. I'm touching it right now. Y'all can't really see that on the screen. If I touch the screen, you can't see. You can see it if I wave my hand. But yeah, so, but I thought, and it's here, or at least according to the tracking, it's somewhere, but it's not in my possession. So that kind of pissed me off. But time to get back on my green bubbles and say it is here. Right? My green bubble is that it is in the present. I have already manifested it. I damn sure did, because I paid for it and all that. So it's just somewhere. So welcome, Dina. I think that's you as usual. I'm going to give you a shout out no matter what. I think you're just going to be my forever shout out, even if you stop showing up. And I did get your message, so I'm going to read off. That's good. I appreciate. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to read yours off, but I'm going to give Kim. I'm just going to see if she's going to show up. And if not, then I'll just kind of put ours together to just kind of read them off, the things that we're putting in our boom boom room and touching and agreeing on, as y'all used to say in the church. We used to say in the church. I did too. So yeah, today was day 21. Yay! I was really happy of Javon's end of the 21 days of horny. I like being horny as much as the next person, but damn. I was definitely ready for it to be over. So I appreciated that, but it was good. It was good that he kind of gave some steps where we're going to go into. He said the next thing is going to be mine. I thought it was going to be physical fitness, because he started going into, at the end, he gave us the list of things to do, which I intended to write down, did not get to. I will share it though on here for people who are watching it later, because I see that there's a lot of new people coming on, and maybe they'll even get to this later to just kind of see what I said about some of the lessons. I didn't catch all the lessons. I think I started, since this has started, us being on day 11, I started with them. I don't know, that would make that day 10 or something for them. I felt like they skipped a number at one point, because I saw 16 up there like twice. So not sure if that was the case or not. My speaker is wanting to hum today, so I'm going to have to unplug it so that it doesn't hum and get picked up. And the speaker on this laptop, my Surface Pro that I keep bigging up, actually has a pretty good speaker. When I listened back to the sessions, I was like, oh, my voice is loud. And I have a voice that projects, which is good. A nice, confident presentation, professorial voice that projects. So it does kind of come through. But let me get the exact title for what Javon's lesson was, because I even meant to write that down and I didn't. And he is the first thing that pops up whenever I go to Facebook now, because I pretty much just watch the Bubbles and Bears. I don't even scan my Facebook. So now the Bubbles and Bears page or any of their links come up right off when I click on Facebook, like I just did. So the title was Set the Mood / The Dick and the Pussy Gonna Show Up. And he went on an interesting rant a little bit in the beginning about how they're trying to Cliff Huxtable us, trying to get the words out about now with the whole naturalness, in terms of us going natural, and obviously how they end up kind of manipulating that, and we are not alert to those things. And he and I am almost often on the same page with the conspiracy. And it's not conspiracy. We know these things really happen, but some of the observations that people maybe haven't noticed. I know one day that he said, and I really appreciated that. I think out of everything that he said, and he said a few things that resonated. When he said that we used how integration of the schools fooled us. And Martin Luther King was saying that in the end too. That wasn't the reason they killed him. Probably one of the reasons, but definitely when he spoke out about Vietnam and when he was doing prior to the garbage man strike, where the city that he was in, that they ultimately murdered him. And I hate to even say assassinate, just call it murder, because that's what white people are good at. You know, they already done skewed the word assassination. But anyway, he said, Javon said, and it was also something that based on Martin Luther King coming to the realization that, you know, he may have sold Black folks out in the sense that, you know, selling them into this whole integration thing wasn't, you know, going to turn out to be this really good thing for us. We needed equal rights and equal across the board, you know, separate and equal. That's the part that was the missing part, the actual equal part. But anyway, he was saying how we were in, you know, Black people at that before the kind of the integration, when we had to make do with what we had, we would have schools of kids from, you know, 1st grade to 12th grade with just, you know, 5, 10 books. And we'd be excelling more than their white schools. And, you know, and we, for some reason, feeling like we needed to integrate because obviously the message and was white was better. So, you know, we bought into that. And in that sense, we can see in so many ways that how detrimental it was to us. And, you know, it's been a long time and we've been doing it for a long time, and we still continue to recycle the misinformation and recycle this kind of integration and assimilation, and it hasn't worked to our benefits. And it is one of those things where you just kind of like, when not hello. So I don't know, you know, but I appreciated that. But anyway, so today he got into, you know, kind of, he just ranting a little bit about conspiracies, and then ultimately in the end just kind of talking a little bit about the detox and getting into health and fitness, and just some simple things that I think, you know, everybody can do, kind of to get into your boom boom room in the morning, make a beat, do 10 push-ups or some sort of exercise movement. I forgot, but I will put them up because I intended to put them up, but I've been running around. So I have my plate of food as usual on the side and my drink, and I'm not going to eat it on screen, but yeah. But I just thought overall, the 21 days, there were some ups and downs. I'm obviously going to say the first thing, which is that class I hated, but everything else, some of the analogies in turn, ultimately with orgasm being an ultimate feeling, and sex being kind of an ultimate experience in you getting to a feeling, because that's pretty much what it is. Is that we need to kind of align ourselves with that emotion in terms of being able to feel ourselves, ride our bubbles into our vortex, into our boom boom rooms. And we're going to be also talking about that in the book. And for the book club, I said it like that because I'm like, where's my book? Even my book isn't here, so I don't know if people noticed. But I had to change the date for a week later for the book club because I don't have my book yet. So I'm waiting for it to come. They have some sort of meditation CD from about the vortex from Abraham Hicks and stuff like that I saw at the library. So I ordered that, and that is actually at the library because they sent me an email. So I'm going to go get that, but that's not the book. So I want the book. And I'm also, as I said, now I'm going to start talking as I start each class. I'm still going to be talking a little bit about him, but if I miss this class, I'm going to also just in general be talking about the law of vibration and the law of attraction, and particularly just the vibration part, which we haven't really gotten into, which is just the energy. And but having a little bit of a better understanding. I was trying to find stuff about it. Surprisingly, there isn't a whole lot of stuff. As I said, Bob Proctor, and then I saw another woman up here. She's called something like Sugar Free something, and she actually breaks down a couple of the different laws. And I'm going to look at her. I can't give a critique on it yet. I just looked at what she was saying about the law of vibration, and she was kind of on track. But I want to simplify it. And as I said, thanks to Javon, now I'm just like, yeah, make everything for Black people, make it, simple, not because we need to dumb things down, But because we learn differently and because we've had a different experience and we know sometimes how Black people talk. We have that way sometimes where we have the Black people. I hate to use Dave Chappelle because white people use him, but one day he said we have Black people have the job interview voice and they have the you around your people voice, you know, and I'm like, it's kind of sort of like that, where you have to kind of come into a certain situations and certain circumstances, act in a certain kind of way. But when we're talking to our people, we want to be able to just make it in the simplest way. And when we start saying stuff like, you know how Black folks are, turn that around and not make that with the negative connotation that is usually behind it, that we are actually saying something positive when we're saying, you know how Black people are, that we do things differently, and that we have to be creative because we understand that there is an entire system with layers, whether it be finance, whether it be education, whether it be employment, or across the board. There are literally systems that have been in place now for a very, very long time that have sought to discriminate against us, to be bigoted and prejudiced, and racial systems, the system of racism, and then everything under that, employment, education, all of those types of things that fall under the system of racism, incarceration, you know, those types of things, and what we tend to deal with, and that nobody has acknowledged it. And we need to acknowledge and be like, hell yeah, we're victims. And, you know, hell yeah, we go through these types of things. People are like, I don't want to think about slavery movies and all those types of things. Understandable, but there's nothing wrong with us stop getting, you know, using their narratives and their language for us to not say what has been done to us and how it continues to affect us, that people we don't even know will follow us around the store just based on the fact that we come into their store, you know. And of course we're learning now, don't even go in these stores first and foremost, but you know, just those types of things that we have to deal with that are specific to us, you know, for no reason, that we can tend to get shot or get brutalized by slave law enforcers, now called police or law enforcement, but that's initially what they were. They were there to enforce slave laws. So that's where law enforcement came from. Or one of the ways they'll try to debate it, but I ain't going in their house to debate nothing. I don't care what they say about any of those types of things anymore, and where are your credentials and where's your proof. I happen to have those things, and I have the ability to do my research, proper research, not just some Google and Wikipedia nonsense, but actually know how to do real research. But I ain't doing that for them. That's the thing that they do for us when they want us to present proof for them continuing on their lives, and they know they lying. So done with that. All right, so that was short and sweet. But yeah, Devon and class overall, the 21 days, good to go. Happy is over, the 21 days of horniness, happy is over, but glad that it happened. And I'll be doing the next cycle with them, but just probably not on a consistent basis. Just whenever I get, when I get to it and I'm able to talk about it, it'll probably be a accumulation maybe of even a couple of days as I kind of talk about it on here. So I guess Kim is not coming. It's 4:15. So I am going to go on to our next thing, our manifestation. So I'm pulling up yours, Dina. I'm assuming it's you. So where did you put it? I saw it. Oh, you sent it to me in a message. Kimberly has commented on your post. So that must mean her telling me I ain't gonna be there. We'll watch later. I don't know why some days I keep having issues signing on. That's what she wrote. Have to look at it. So she's not going to be here. And see how that manifests? Take those little steps. I just talked about it and she showed up. She popped up on the screen literally that very moment. 4 minutes ago, it says. So there you go. Manifestation. So my list and your list, the compound list that I have so far, I don't know if you want me to do it compoundedly or just have this all as today, but because I won't read all of them off anyway every single day, but at least we'll have them. All right. So my list of master manifestation, that's what I call it, and just kind of touching and agreeing until I find out a better word, but it works. People understand the church stuff. So I have now, I had number one was the money, but then I put 0 manifesting with Kim and Dina, because you guys have kind of been on board with me. So then the manifesting the money, the 42,000 in particular, and that's 21,000 for us each, and then 21,000 each donating towards the school. And I guess the kids are outside playing, so if you hear background, I like the sound of actually kids playing. We take that for granted these days, so I don't mind kid noise when they come home from school and they're kind of outside in the courtyard area making kid noises. At least they're out playing. So first class ticket and minivan rental when I'm going to be home in around June for about a month or two. So yeah, that minivan rental, I was looking that up, trying to do it, especially for a month or something like that, is loot. So definitely need a little extra money for that. My home office headquarters, and also how are we working on those things? And I should just, would say, because I just started some business ventures, and I've been doing some of the references that Jamaica mentioned on Turner's Church about the real estate thing, because I wanted to not get into the real estate like brokerage and stuff, but the investment side, stuff I knew before. I didn't do because you're waiting on family or whoever, and I don't do that anymore. So I had to but I end up kind of having to teach myself these things, because that's kind of the world we live in now. And it's actually a really good thing for people to kind of learn new things and be able to teach themselves things at their own pace. You just need to stay committed and consistent, the 2 C's, when you are doing those types of things. So I've been doing her real estate, some of the real estate references she referenced, which is Chris Goff. He's here on YouTube, and he has some long videos, like webinars that are like an hour long. Obviously they may be trying to sell stuff, but I've listened to 2 so far, and actually he does give really pertinent information that you can run with. And if you're into that, or somebody who might be into that you can partner with. So it might be something to look into. And it's like literally with like no money, no credit, all those types of things you think you need, that you need to be a broker and all those things. He's not doing it with none of those things. Now, obviously white people dive into these things. And as I keep saying with us, sometimes we have to cross our T's and dot our I's on things. But we are, as American citizens or, legal residents, whatever our status may be here, but particularly with Black Africans whose ancestors were brought here, and we are 4th and 5th generation removed now, 3rd and 4th generation removed from some form of actual slavery. We can take advantage of those rights. Kim and I were talking about, I don't know if you were on that day, you haven't missed, I thought you missed maybe one day, but yeah, we were talking about the Second Amendment in terms of gun rights. And also Aisha, she talked about wanting to do a group, and she hasn't done it yet. And I told her if she does it, I'm on board. And I'm wondering if she's waiting for me to do it, but I don't want to put another group up. I got a very nice compliment and shout out from Turner's Church, because I seem to be the only one kind of really running with it. And she's, I actually talked to somebody from Turner's Church. I don't want to say too much, on phone, but they were just like, you are doing what we want people to do. And I'm glad for that, and I appreciate that. But I was like, I don't want to be the only one doing all of the things that I'm interested in, because I do just want to share with my people and do as much as possible, but I do want to spread it out. And I felt like with the guns, I'm not law enforcement. I just understand I'm not pro-gun or anti-gun. I'm like pro-protect my damn self kind of situation, or pro-protect my family and be informed, that kind of situation. And I do think in terms of the violence that is in neighborhoods, and don't worry, I know we're manifesting, but I just kind of go into my little segues and stuff like that. But I just do think that it is important for us to be educated, and it is true from the guy, if you haven't heard about him, Maj Toure of Black Guns Matter. He has some videos here on YouTube. YouTube is the place. And he also has a Twitter account that he's off and on, and he takes donations and stuff. But he's been going around for not a whole lot of money to different cities. I'm going to definitely try to get him. And I told him to come on Turner's Church. I've literally, like, he's the only person that I've been like, yo, man, did you get on Turner's Church yet? To come here and try to set something up. I was like, it's not church. So, and we've had a little bit of back and forth correspondence, but he's definitely somebody I'd like to to come and talk to people and just kind of educate him, because he's also coming from that other side of all of this gun violence in Chicago and all this other stuff about the education, because it's a conspiracy kind of situation again. I don't even want to call it a conspiracy, because that's their language again, their narratives and stuff to make you second guess, could it be true? You know, all these types of programming, conditioning, and brainwashing, as I'll keep saying, because that is what's been happening. But they just recently, and now because of the internet, people can right away let them know what happened, but they just recently conveniently had a truck of guns break down. I think it was in Chicago, in the poor, seedy neighborhood area, breaks down and leaves the car there, you know, and of course, you know, with nice shiny guns in the back, and it gets looted by a bunch of gangs and all this other stuff. You know, that's not happening by coincidence. That's been happening, and that's the thing. Now that people can, you know, talk about it amongst all over the United States, the comment section, people were saying, "Oh yeah, they've been doing that for years. They did that in this, you know, for Compton. They obviously all the places we already know: New York City, Compton, Chicago, some parts of Texas, St. Louis. All these convenient trucks that get broken down and left in these areas where all of a sudden they get looted by the gangs, and you know, it's just a new truckload of guns to make sure if the killing is going down, they want to make sure it gets brought back up." So you know, these things do not happen by coincidence. There's no coincidences where this experience it has occurred in America. So just kind of to be mindful. But if we start to educate our folks, next time they bring a truckload of guns, which there will be a next time. There have been plenty of next times since the 70s. This has been happening. You know, roll that whole, obviously, if you try to do it the right way and suddenly roll that whole truck into the warehouse and start what's the word I'm looking, storing guns for the just in case moment, I bet the SWAT will show up and and be like, "Nah, that's not what we meant. We want y'all to steal them guns and shoot each other. Don't store the guns and, you know, for your protection and safety if the white people decide to have a real life purge." So I know I'm going off, but sometimes even I just have to laugh, you know, because it is true. Sometimes I do have, when Javon gets like, you know, "Y'all dumb motherfuckers," and we do have a lot to learn. And I've been, you know, thinking that stuff since, you know, I was a teenager. So I would see just through a lot of things. And I think some people have that, and just that natural gift when you start to see the transparency of things. I remember when he also said about the hieroglyphics and, you know, and just the various interpretations of all the stuff they were finding in Africa, and that we trust white people to interpret our stuff. You know, the same people who went there and raped. That is, I don't like to use that metaphor, but it is true that they raped that motherland in terms of literally penetrated her of her mineral, you know, her resources, and meaning her minerals and her people and her land and all of those types of things. So it's just a terrible, terrible situation. But, you know, and then we're supposed to trust these people to be the people that give us information. It doesn't even make sense when you say it aloud, but we do it. So, and I think it's one of those types of things. Maybe if we start saying these things aloud, and I do this a lot with my hand, because, you know, it's the brain, it's the churning part, it's the conditioning, it's the brainwashing, the programming part, but it's also just understand that start getting the wheels turning, because some parts of your brain, because they have been conditioning us, is rusty. And we have to get to the point where, you know, we get comfortable learning now about our, you know, what's true for ourselves and what we are really seeing, as we can begin to take the veil off our eyes. And those are the things too, with I always call, when I said the Bible is the first slave manual, is the white supremacy playbook, and all those types of things, because when they rewrote the Bible, and they did take it from all of these people who they actually do acknowledge were in Egypt. And it's not just Egypt, but that's all they were calling Africa pretty much back then. But when all of these people were coming to study from these Black people in Africa, where they were just calling all of Africa pretty much Egypt, and they, you know, and they stole all of their writings, obviously they took bits and pieces of what they were witnessing. They ultimately rewrote it, and they rewrote a lot of the lessons they received from them. But that's kind of where a lot of the where their interpretations come from. So they are, in a sense, they took our stuff and then they gave it back to us, but they didn't give, nothing they have given us as a gift. It's kind of been to the detriment of us, the same way anything they have taken from us has been intentional. So it's it's all pre-planned and predetermined and premeditated. That's the word I was really looking for. I was like, I know it's a pre, so it's premeditated, and it has gotten to the point where it's taken on a life of its own. And oftentimes that is what they do. They don't even know sometimes how things are going to turn out in 10 and 20 years, but you just kind of throw it out there and see what happens. And if you look now, when they do that online, it's literally like you're throwing stuff out to a pack of dogs, and you throw it out and it's just this feeding frenzy of division in terms of all of the different opinions that's going to come up. And even that is a setup. That is a tremendous setup, because then they can put bits and pieces of the it's a whole lie because it's a half truth, but they can put out a whole bunch of half truths, and as long as they have people fighting over it, it gets whatever is accurate about it gets lost in the fray, gets lost amongst all of the crap that they are presenting to us. So that's just something to remember and to keep in mind as well. So I got into all of that talking about real estate. See, I remember. And in terms of learning from Jamia, where she offers some information on Chris Joff, who's here online, and a white guy again, because we have to start somewhere. We don't, unfortunately, have a lot of these faces of our folks teaching a lot of these things. And then sometimes when we do have it, because there's a decent amount here on Facebook, we're just a little bit more skeptical and suspicious of our own, again, because of, and the condition and programming and brainwashing. So we have to kind of get to the point where we are more comfortable with those things, and us also putting it in a way that we can kind of understand it and make it simple. There's another guy on here, Kareem, 4 Cycles of Life, and he also did a little business program. He sold it, but it wasn't even expensive. It was something like $49. I think he just jacked it up to $50, and he did some real simple in terms of incorporating your business. And he did it primarily for Black people. And what happened? He didn't say it was just for Black people. He was just like putting it out there for everybody, and was just trying to be the kumbaya. We are everybody. We out here for everybody. I'm out here saying it's for Black people, and hopefully the trolls will go away. And what happened is that when I say what happened is, he has a lot of Black audience, but white people jumped on it too, because that is what they will do with our ideas and with the things that we put out there. And because they won't get kind of second guess, where we got to be like, yo, when you're going to the bank, make sure you dress right. And when they ain't got to do all of that. They don't even have to say that. Maybe they do it anyway, but they ain't got to say all of that. So it's those types of things in terms of just businesses, and how we kind of approach things and things that we learn. And now we can kind of teach ourselves. And that was my third topic, which I will get to. I've already talked all about it, but let me finish the manifestation. So the home office headquarters was my thing. And then my car that I continue to have in my phone, at least to inspire me, look at it at least several times a day. It's not even once a day, obviously, because we use these phones for everything. So I definitely get to see my car that I'm going to buy. And I will put the actual car up here when I get it. Which I hope is sooner rather than later. Jada's graduation, my Jada. Kim has her daughter's name is Jada too. And I mean her college graduation. In a few months, she will be graduating from high school, and I am already speaking college graduate. So I'm talking about college graduation. Jackson's academics and athletics. That's my nephew, Jackson, who's being a little bit of a knucklehead. He's 13, and he's at that age where you got to get him, before they do. So, just certainly putting that out there in terms of his boom boom room. And I'm talking to his sources, literally, we should be able to do that in terms of protecting, as I said, get your vibration up, where you're definitely talking to their sources and, looking at it that way, because it's whatever you want. And for me, it's making sure I'm talking to particularly the younger people in my family, whereas you just say you pray for them. I make sure I talk to their sources and say, hey, get him in line, get in his head, send these messages that his auntie is sending his way. Don't go with, little knucklehead boy and y'all end up getting locked up. Don't go doing something stupid and, those types of things, sending those kind of vibes his way. to not to do things that's going to ultimately mess up his future. So that was my my sixth one. So my seventh one for today is my other nephew. I have 10 nieces and nephews who passed away, so that would mean 8. But the 3 youngest are the ones that I primarily usually talk about, and my third one is not a J. He's an M, which is Malcolm. So I will put up Malcolm. He's older, and he did graduate from college, and I'm proud of him. And we have that. He's a grown man, so we have that moment, those moments sometimes. But just kind of wishing him well in terms of his getting clarity on his career. So that's what I will write down, and then I am going to read Dina's. So that's it. Just get clarity on career. And that's the thing too, in terms of just encouraging the young people, when in whatever they want to do, it is their world. And to a certain degree, you should defer to them and allow them, just like when we wanted to get in the mix and be older when we were younger. It's their turn now. So a lot of times I just like, whatever y'all want to do, as long as it's not criminal, I support you. So number 1, stop smoking. Yes, I agree with that. Stop smoking. Second one, I don't even have anything else to add with that. You already know, you got it up there. Second one, successful claim resolution with no appeals. 3 in process. Yes, I touch and agree with that. Anything in the court system. May Black people win all of it. Pushing the force, win all their cases. Daughters, strength to stand up and stand out. Yes, that's when I will actually share and add that to Jada's list. Check. Shamika Michelle's event, April 15th. Oh, that's cool. And that's not too far away. So I hope that's manifested so we can actually see that come to pass, not to fruition. That's only next month. So that sounds cool. Sons use his gift of genius mind to create something that stimulates him like basketball and video games do. He could be, and as much as we kind of discourage it, but he could be a basketball player or a coder. So yeah, I certainly agree with that. Sometimes you look at it as a bad thing. You got to look at the pluses as well as the minuses on it. Sons, stay unique and never try to fit in. Good luck with that one, depending on how old he is. Even my niece is going through that, and I'm just like, you'll learn. That's the thing. Like they say, keep on living, because sometimes you just can't tell them anything. They just want to be with their friends, and I'm just like, you're not even gonna know these people in 10 years. I don't even run into half the people I went to high school and definitely not junior high and elementary school with. So, but they don't know that yet. So they got to learn it. But let's hope for that. I'll check that off too, because I'll be talking to my niece about all those things. So you're giving me some things to also talk to my niece and nephew about as well. Means to spend a month in Florida decorating my youngest sister's new home. Oh, that's beautiful. I want that too. But I want my family to be here with me. So I definitely feel that one. I felt that one. So yes, I'm with you on that one. My sister finds strength to forgive herself and stop making excuses to justify inaction. My sisters too. There you go. See, this is sometimes just the similarities and with family members, and it's nothing unique under the sun. So just really for our family members, it's just difficult sometimes to not judge, because it's people that you love a lot and things like that. And then when they're going through things and we want to look outside and they be like, well, what about you? That kind of situation. And then you already be like, okay, you're not ready to deal. I get it. So let me just keep it moving. People do more acting and less talking. People, you trying to control the whole shift of people. You know what that means for you. So I'll just leave it at that, because we ain't even really only trying to control ourselves, but you know what that kind of means for you. But I get the gist of it in terms of, at least for me, how I interpret that is certainly one of the ways is that the particular scenarios that I play out in my interactions with people, in my relationships with people, strangers, acquaintances, friends, and family, in that you, not in that order, but family, friends, acquaintances, and strangers. Yeah, in terms of just what those interactions are going to be. And also, yeah, people, one of the things is seeing what people's actions are going to be, and not, and not them just talking a good game as well, which that might be where you're coming from with it as well. Because I've also been involved in that in relationships, where you'd be like, okay, we can all be dreamers and free spirits, but can I see a little action, please? See, backing it up, all this talk you're doing. So I just recently had that situation, and it's hard, especially for people that you really, really care about. And you just be like, just come with me, just let's grow together. And sometimes you're growing older, but you're not growing up. I'm having a moment with that. So, all right, and then find a way to use and enhance my creativity and event planning skills. Yeah, Turner's Church might need that. Because they're trying to do big things, and you should probably start presenting some ideas. I know for a fact, and maybe it's funny that you said that, where I can maybe tell you that if you've been having some ideas based on what you've been seeing Javon do, that you send them a message with just some of your ideas, because they actually are welcoming ideas. I literally know that for a fact, because that's what they told me. So there you go. And that maybe that was also meant for you, to submit some ideas. Just be like, hey, I'm not expecting anything from this, but from what I observed, maybe this is something you can do. I gave them one idea, and I'm going to send them, I hope I wrote it down, the other idea that I had. Yeah. I gave them one idea, and I'm going to send them another idea that I had also with that, in terms of some of the things that they can do, because I'm assuming we're really tremendously supporting Turner's Church and what they're trying to do. So we want to see them grow. And just as I thought of that, it made me think of another one, so I'm write it down here. I'm just not going to share it out loud, the only reason, but I'll put it in our boom boom room, that we're just kind of supporting ideas. That we're supporting ideas for Turner's Church to continue to grow into the Black Facebook, and where it's no longer calling it the Black Facebook, because we don't have to, that we're just calling it Kim's in another post, so I was just checking it off. That we're just calling it Turner's Church because it's standing on its own 2 feet. But it is a way right now, even with me, when I talk to people about it, I go, it's kind of the Black Facebook. So, but I love those. I love those 10. So I don't know if you want to add to them, or if you just want, me to keep referencing those 10, I will do it. But I definitely touch and agree, or just co-create and manifest with you for what your aspirations are. I mean, we can also join Kim for what her wants, needs, aspirations are, and the same thing with mine. And it's and then one of the things that we seem to obviously have in common is what we want for even other people, and oftentimes to our children, or in my case, my nieces and nephews, but I'll just say our children, and people that we care about. And isn't that always the way, particularly with Black women, that we have to also make sure we put more things on there, would be saying that, for ourselves as well, because we'll usually put ourselves to the back burner, and we got to start putting your oxygen mask on first. So make sure that you're doing that going forward, in terms of simple things that you want. What do you want for yourself? Number one was a good thing, because you thought of yourself in terms of smoking, something that that you need to stop doing. But just more things that are going to definitely be rewarding yourself with something materialistic. I don't think that you put down here, which is certainly a good characteristic to have, that you're not materialistic, but don't be afraid to put it down there. You want to, what is it when you said your sisters have means to spend the month? So money, obviously, and that's why I keep saying options. I don't even call it money these days. I'm just like, I want a billion options, a billion opportunities. And for me, I already know that also means money. So that's a good one. But I like those, and I appreciate those. And we are all in agreement, kind of put those in there, and believe that they are going to come to manifestation. And when they do, we'll be able to share it on here, to give an update. I will actually put up an update video for any of those, from you, myself, from Kim, since these are the 3. Kim's list, I don't think she would mind. Well, I'm going to wait and ask her. I don't think she would mind, but since I haven't asked her directly, I won't do it. And she, I guess, was sending me a message. Good evening. I will listen later. Okay. Having issues signing on. Okay. She just sent a little box message just to let me know again. But yeah, when I ask her if it's okay, then I'll read hers off. But I'm sure it is. But just to be on the safe side. See that nap? This is becoming the time. I have 3 bananas and they're not even overripe on my counter. Those gnats come flying up. All right, so then I kind of already started talking about the learn to teach yourself. And one of the things about that, and I saw that with Kim, and that's another thing. As I said, Javon is such a contradiction at times. Obviously he is, and I think he intends to be that way in things. But obviously a lot of the things that he's done for with regards to supporting his wife, because that's what it comes down to. He's been supporting her. He tries to make it, see, sometimes when he's getting real harsh and antagonistic about it, but he's done a really good job about supporting. And you can see that Chris didn't, have the confidence, particularly with regard to returning to school and pursuing her degrees and those types of things. And I know I have one of my sisters is like that too, where she kind of second guesses herself. And I'm always saying to her, you're smart. And I think that sometimes when I started to help family members, kind of learn things that they hadn't learned, is to just start with something simple. We're learning a particular math problem. If you've always had problems with division, buy a little 5th grade. It doesn't, even if you're an adult, people will be ashamed to do that. But you can buy a 5th grade division book from the dollar store and just do all of the problems in that. Something like that in terms of really working your mind. That's what my point is. Or simple crossword puzzles. It doesn't have to be the hard one. You don't have to start with New York Times. I don't even like New York Times crossword puzzles, not because I can't do them, but because they're very white supremacist. That's a whole lot. Sometimes it's TV, but on their stuff, it is just a whole lot of white people stuff that nobody else is interested in. Unless you're doing Jeopardy or you just happen to have been educated, as in myself, in a predominantly white institution. So you happen to know a whole lot of their stuff that you're now trying to invert. I haven't totally erased it from my mind, but I just usually invert it and see how I can distribute it to Black people in Black speak. So that's one of the things that I kind of was thinking about too. And I know, give an example with my mom, I like to do Sudoku. I don't know if, I don't like a whole lot of the games. Where is my, oh, it's way over there, my iPad, which I'm going to reach for so I can show. It was on my counter, my kitchen, living room, pass through, whatever they call that counter. But yeah, I like to do brain games usually. So if I have any games on here, like it'll be the moron test. I have a couple of the games, but most of the time I like the games that that allow me to do some thinking or some sort of arts. But anyway, the game that I primarily play when I rarely have time to play it, but it's Sudoku, and it's just, is it coming up? Yeah, there it is. No, I don't want it to be this way. Yeah, and it's just kind of like a crossword with numbers. And I taught my mom when she was visiting one time. I had already done all the easy ones. I'm on the expert level on this one. But and she got into it. It was just one of those things in terms of just kind of literally sitting here on the couch, shoulder to shoulder with her and saying, well, you're trying to just, fill in the boxes with 1 through 9. And this is kind of how you do it. And, those types of things that'll just help you to kind of keep your brain churning. And the reason I'm just going into that is a lot of times, particularly with Black people, because the way things were communicated to us, some of us do very much so second guess ourselves, second guess our levels of intelligence, all of those types of things. And, sometimes we just keep it a secret and we just tend to push people away or push back if somebody's trying to show us something because we really don't know, but we also feel like, if I come across as not knowing, people are going to think I'm stupid. And I always just tell people to start with little things. The dollar store, if you have a dollar store in your area, most dollar stores are in our area anyway, but you can go in there and get those little kid books, and you're not buying it for a kid, you're buying it for yourself to sit there and do a page of division problems or multiplication problems that you used to do back in the day that you haven't done in 20 years. The old math, not that garbage that we were talking about yesterday that they're doing to set the kids up to fail and you know, and just enhance the prison pipeline. And I'm going to go into that for sure. So that is a suggestion. And also, like learning, as I said, with the library is also a treasure trove. YouTube is a treasure trove. There's a lot of different areas on here where people have freely offered the information, and I have to give it to the millennials. And when I say millennials, I literally mean like people under 25, that they actually will show you step by step sometimes what they do. Not all of them, but quite a few of them actually have videos on here where they will show you step by step what it is they do for whatever it is they do. That's how I learned how to program my phone. That's how I learned how to, I used to jailbreak my iPad. I don't anymore because they watch these kids learn how to break into their machines, and they just made them better. They took all of their ideas and they just put them into the regular systems now. So now you don't even need to, when I say jailbreak, it's hacking basically. But I learned how to hack watching YouTube videos from kids who at the time were probably like 14, 15. So those types of things that you can just kind of learn and teach yourself, especially if you are just second guessing your intelligence in any way, you know, in what area and maybe and then in what other area that you need to do things. My biggest thing yeah, I may have a lot of education and stuff like that, but I get bored and I need to be feeding my brain. And so sometimes I need to have a whole lot of different things going on. It's just that I need to finish what I start. So when I do things, whenever I start learning something, you know, my goal is to finish whatever it is that I start instead of stopping and not, you know, and not ever completing it. So that is actually a learning thing as well, to be able to kind of complete something. So I see that in myself. So I'm just putting that out there as well in terms of what the things that you need to learn. And this is even a practice for me now because I want to put together something structured as I'm coming on here. But then at the same time, I don't want it to be boring. That's one of the things, even as I did this 21 days of horniness, and I keep saying I'm glad it's over, but I'm going to keep using those titles because I notice people are just clicking on because I put those sex titles up there. People are just clicking on the stuff. I'm like, maybe they'll learn something when they realize I'll say a little bit about whatever I put up there in terms of some sex stuff, and then just kind of move on from there. But I'm like, look at that. See what draws people's attentions is a whole bunch of sex titles, which aren't even mine. They're Javon's sex titles, but apparently a lot of people want to hear what you have to say. Okay, so what else do I have? Oh, and I was talking about don't work overtime. So I just really figured I'd start giving, my final thing is I start giving little tidbits, because I know people have never heard anybody say that. I know every time I say that, it literally is like a spear, a nice angel spear to people's hearts, because they never heard somebody say, don't work overtime because we're trading time for money. And you're doing that in a regular job too. People have never heard that before. So and it's not the first time I shared it, but I always notice, I can tell on people's faces that it's like it never even dawned on them, because again, y'all already know this is going to be my symbol for conditioning, brainwashing, and what's the other one, in programming. So, and to say something about that, I don't know if anybody noticed, and I said this before, and I don't know if it's still up there somewhere. When somebody first joined Turner's Church, it was a young woman. She put up how they're doing mind control. And like I said, it just sounds far-fetched. And there we go. We have to give this disclaimer and say it sounds far-fetched. You know, we just ultimately programmed to alter automatically. I'm pointing to my mouth. But see how that just came out? Went from my brain to my mouth, where it just automatically give this disclaimer, oh, that it sounds far-fetched. You know. Even I got to work on it, and I know better. But, and I said disclaimer about the mind control, how they have a patent, and you can pull up a lot of the patents anyway, but like they have a patent on AIDS, they have a patent on cancer. Why? Ask yourself why. I ain't going to go into it today. I know how I get, but I ain't going to go into it today. Go look it up. So anyway, but they do have patents on stuff that you'd be like, why you got a patent on something that you didn't create? Anyway, but she put it up there about the mind control, about how they literally are with the computer monitors, with the TV screens, what they are, the order that they put commercials in, the order that they put the programming in, all these types of things. And it does say mind control, but of course they try to neaten it up and put in there, you know, that they are just kind of how they stimulate you to buy things or to have a particular reaction to things. And a lot of it we already know, but to say that they have a patent to it tells you how deep it can go. And one of the things we know, when America gets a bomb, they build a bigger bomb. So that's just a metaphor, kind of. So that's all I got with it. I know I'll be just going off. But anyway, what I was going to say today is with the working the overtime and then IEC, I went into a whole lot of other stuff, is insurance is a scam. But there you go. Whatever you thought when I said insurance is a scam, that's how you already know. But what I wanted to say about it is the same as working overtime, is that you don't have insurance. You have the assurance that the insurance will reimburse you your money that you already paid and then add on to that. And then they most likely almost always penalize you as well. And that's kind of big pharma and insurance companies kind of are the biggest lobbyists. But one of the things that I want to say when I said this one, in the whole vein of what I was saying, working overtime, is that literally we have approximately 300 million people, and this is my final thing in our last few minutes. 300 million. I want to make this real simple. We have 300 million people with some form of insurance. We know mandatory to have car insurance. Most people have life insurance, or at least not most, but let's just say 2/3 people have life insurance. And I forget what other insurance that we have to have. Obviously, there's several various insurances. Oh, health insurance. How could I forget? Because that's a big old debate going on right now. And of course, you know, you're paying into the possibility of something happening. And you continue to pay month by month, year by year. So on average, for 300 billion people, and this is a literal data, I don't have the specifics, but you can get the gist from what I'm saying. 300 million people, they have 100,000, let's just say. I really want to say 10,000, but I'm being generous by saying 100,000. So let's say you have 100,000 people that get sick for that year. 200 million people, remember, have paid into whatever the insurance, or whether they get sick, if it's health insurance, whether they get into a car accident. And I almost feel like I want to use that because that's even a better analogy. So yeah, I'll go with the car accident, and then the other insurance, whatever it is I said it was, and stuff. But anyway, you continue. Everybody is paying this, giving this free money for insurance, something that they programmed us to believe, right? These just in case payments that you give every single month, that you give, and you're not going to stop giving it. So I'm not even trying to talk you out of it, because I know that's, again, another just deeply ingrained situation until you can't afford to pay. And then you have no choice but to not give it. But if you really think about it, it's just like so many people, and this is actually more so white people, who continually, because they have the means, continuing to pay into this thing that they don't need year after year after year. And so 300 million people, this is basically all I'm saying. And so you have 300 million people paying, and they don't have an accident that year. 10,000, which is not even 1% of accidents might happen. Some sort of accident where you need one of those 3 insurances that I said. That's it. That is pretty much it for the year. You just paid all of this just in case money in, which is technically free. If you think about it in that sense, this is technically free money, because you didn't have no accident that year, and they only paid 10,000 claims. And we already know, as I said, the assurance that they will give you something, or not even, actually, you already know they deny claims. So it's not even the assurance that you will get some sort of money back, but the assurance that the insurance company will, I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for, will look at your claim. you know, and if you're lucky, get your money back and then get other people's money back. So it's just something to think about. Not saying that, like I said, people are not going to, that's just too far ingrained conditioning. But what do the white people do? Because I remember years ago, and I was one of those people, and I put that book on the list. It's a book by Reginald, I forgot his last name. He passed away, but he was I think he was the first Black billionaire. He wrote a book called Why Should the White Guys Have All the Fun? And he was like the first one, I think, and this was only in like the late 70s, early 80s when he wrote the book. I read it much later, you know, but where he was just talking about, you know, do white people buy insurance? And you know, it's a kind of a yes or no answer, but for the most part, they don't even need to in that sense. And if we had been doing that, a lot of us can remember the times when the insurance, when those white men were coming around taking our grandparents' money, because that's how they used to do, come to the house and get the insurance money. It'd be like $5 or $6, but if they go into 10 and 20 houses to get $5 or $6 for whatever the monthly payment was, they was making, you know, quite a bit of money a day. So, you know, and no guarantee that this insurance was actually going to be there when grandma and them needed it. But we also know that grandma usually, or grandpa or whatever, had money hidden somewhere. But still, those types of things that they bought into trying to be a part of this system. So it's just it's just another thing to in terms of to think about what's a better way to do it. And I say all of this in terms of insurance being a scam, is that you can prepay for funerals. Black people, that's one of the issues, that by the time somebody died, we usually got to get a couple of family members together, depending on which family you in. My family happens to be one of those where you got to get people together to bury somebody, that kind of situation. And when you should prepay for funerals, especially if you have older people who believe, you know, not set to pass away, but who believe in that kind of system, and they've been paying into it. My mom being one of those people. I've sort of weaned her off some, but she's not going to just stop doing it. And I'm not going to take any of that away from her. That's the same thing with religion. I have a certain amount of beliefs, but I don't try to talk her out of hers, because it's something that she's believed for her whole life. So who am I to kind of take it away from her? But it's just those types of things, to be investigating what are the alternatives. If you feel like you got to have insurance for those just in case moments, or maybe you want to have a medical tourism account, and you can go to Thailand, where they actually don't have no half-ass hospitals, where they have really good hospitals, and you can go get an annual checkup there, and you can go get your surgery there. You can go get your free medication there, and they allow you to bring it back through customs. You can get your surgeries there. You can get your dental there. You can get your laser eye surgery there. Those types of things, in terms of stop paying into their sucker. I had another word that I can't even think of, but don't be a sucker. But it was another word I was looking for when they're duping you, but I'm still looking for the other word. It was some slang that I can't think of right now. In terms of some of the alternatives of what we can do. And I'm going to put together, again, all these things now that I have this platform, but also even just sharing it with Turner's Church, in terms of people just thinking differently. Because I know, like I said, people ain't thinking or ever been taught about don't work overtime. And even in terms of what is the alternatives to insurance, that maybe you want to be able to, the amount of money you pay into insurance, maybe you want to be able to pay it for a flight. You know, because even that urgent care, all of those types of things, yeah, we need to be careful and stay healthy and all those types of things. But it's just a lot of things where they continue to pull money from us. And that's one of the reasons, even with insurance, that the price is so high by the time you do finally go in there, because they know that these insurance companies been collecting money for nothing for years. So of course, by the time you go in there and they want to charge you $12,000 for a Band-Aid, you know, it's those types of things, because they haven't paid nobody. The 300,000 people have paid something anywhere from 100 to 500. You know, well, let's go down a little. Let's go $50 to $500 or more for some form of insurance, and nothing ain't happened to them for a year. So then when they finally do, somebody has to kick in for actually needing some medical attention, and they charge you $12,000 for a Band-Aid. I'm exaggerating, but you get the gist. So those types of things, you just might want to have some other alternatives in place. And for Black people. And I'm glad that we're doing a whole lot of alternative and getting back to like Dr. Sabi and the way that we eat and all of those types of things. But it's just all really walking back our thought process with the way that we have kind of incorporated whiteness and into our lives and the way that they do things and how it has not benefited us. And a lot of times we can't even afford it. And they made it that way. So one of the things that we want to just start to do is to kind of learn what is these things that I'm actually even paying into, that I'm even a part of. Why am I a part of it? And, and why am I paying out these types of monies? And it will give you a lot of different perspectives. So when I remember these tidbits, and I remember the working overtime, and I remember the insurance, so I shared those. But whenever I remember these tidbits, I'm going to include them, and I'm going to hopefully elaborate on them more as I just start to remember to share all this stuff for free for Black people. This is for Black people, and whoever else is watching, I'm not really talking to you. So I'm just talking to Black people. So sign up for Turner's Church. Listen to Javon, the Bubbles and the Bears. Thank you, Dina, Kim, for support. Definitely be the dedicated supporters, and all you people who are watching later. I appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.